All right, I'm gonna try and stay out of the light as much as possible so there's no shadow, but just real quickly today we went over the fact that we don't really divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. We talked today that reciprocals are nothing more than taking your fraction, let me get a different pen, that one you can't see very good. Nothing more than taking your fraction and flipping it over. If you're reciprocating something, you are doing nothing more than taking that fraction or whatever it is you're reciprocating and flipping it upside down. If it's a whole number, you need to put it over 1 and then reciprocate it. If it's a mixed number, you need to change it into an improper fraction and then reciprocate it. So if it's just a fraction, say for example, oh come on, say for example you have 2/3, you just flip it. 3/2 becomes reciprocal. If you have a whole number of 7, you put it over 1. The reciprocal then is 1/7. If you have a whole number 2 1/3, you change it into an improper fraction. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3, and then you flip that to find the reciprocal. 3 things we did today. You have that as a practice. There's, I think, 12, maybe 10 problems. If you did not finish them in class today, you had 20 minutes to finish the 12 problems in class. If you didn't do that for whatever reason, you have that for homework, as well as Egyptian Girl, which I'm going to show you momentarily. We then took notes on how to divide fractions, and I told you the trick of KFC, where K stands for keeping the first fraction, F is to flip the second fraction, and C is to change the divide to a multiply. And then from there, we already learned how to multiply fractions. It ain't no problem. Top times top, bottom times bottom, and then of course to simplify. So your entire practice sheet tonight on Egyptian Girl, Girl, was nothing more than dividing fractions. It wasn't dividing whole numbers, it wasn't dividing mixed numbers, it's just dividing fractions. So when we look at that, 1/5, I think the first one was 1/5 divided by 1/2. 1/5 divided by 1/2, maybe. I can't remember for sure what it was, and I have neglected to bring that paper home. So anyway, 1/5 times 1/2. They're already both fractions, which is what we need before we can start doing KFC. I keep the first fraction, 1/5. I write it down just like I see it. Flip the second fraction, so 1/2 becomes 2/1. Change the divide to a multiply. Divide becomes multiply. Multiplying fractions ain't no problem. You should be saying it whether I'm hearing you or not. Top times top and bottom times bottom. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. Is 2/5 in simplest form? Yes, it is. Put a circle around it. I think that's number 1. And then anywhere on your paper where there's a 2/5, you're going to put in, I think it was the letter U. Can't remember for sure, but you have the paper in front of you, so you should be able to tell. By the way, this goes on notebook paper. You should have your name, date, block, and you should have it labeled Egyptian Girl, EGYPTIAN, Girl. And you should be numbering these on a clean sheet of notebook paper. Your notes were done on a sheet of notebook paper today. When you go to start this worksheet, you should have a clean sheet of notebook paper, because without the work being shown on the notebook paper, you will not get credit. No work on your notebook paper, no credit. And there is not enough room on your worksheet to show the work. So get out a clean sheet of notebook paper, get it labeled up with your name, date, and class, and go through those problems. I do not know what the second one was for sure, but just to do another example, 7/8 divided by 2/4. They're both fractions, so we can go ahead with the trick of keep, flip, change. Keep the first fraction. Flipping the second fraction, it becomes 4/2. The divide becomes a multiply. Multiplying fractions ain't no problem. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 7 times 4 is 28. 8 times 2 is 16. Go to the 16 column. How close to 28 can we get without going over? 16, which is a whole number of 1. How far away are we? 28 minus 16 is 12 over 16. Is that in simplest form? Obviously not. They both are even numbers. I know they both divide by 4, so I'm going to go straight to the 4's column. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Simplest form of 1 3/4. I know that's probably not problem number 2, but the point is you see the example there. All right, easy stuff. Keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, change the divide sign to a multiply. Multiplying fractions ain't no problem. You should be saying it top times top, bottom times bottom, simplify as needed. This Egyptian girl worksheet should be finished the next time we return to school, whether that's tomorrow or day after tomorrow or who knows when. Should be done when we get back there. We're too far behind. We can't continue to miss days. All right, good luck with that. I'll see you next day we're back, hopefully tomorrow.